Laura, great to see you. Your Sunday morning, my Sunday evening. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I got to tell you, thanks again for being back on the road with me this week. You're a three-peat guest.
I am. I'm very honored to be a three-peat guest on your show. This is really special, and a lot has changed, I think, since we last spoke and the first time I was on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? We're going to focus on your LouBud Wines. I've had you on before because you're the associate winemaker over at Sanford Winery, but we're going to focus on LouBud, this project that you've had going now for some while. So yeah, you're right. Things have changed. And I think, checking out your website, I want to get to your tasting room. I'll get there this summer. I think every time I've been in Santa Barbara, I've missed it. It was one of the days when it was closed. But your husband Paul's involved now, right? How did that come about?
Yeah, exactly. My husband Paul is our puzzle maker because doesn't every winery need a puzzle maker?
Sure.
Yeah, right. So we've been married for 3 years, been together for 6+ years. But he joined the LouBud company in 2023, and we're combining our two specialty crafts, bubbles and puzzles, which we now offer as a playful pairing out of our tasting room in Santa Barbara. But just a little bit about him. He's got an extremely unique skill set as a hand cut wooden jigsaw puzzle maker. Say that 10 times fast. So he was starting to make a name for himself around 2023. He took on puzzle making during COVID, and there were a lot of East Coast puzzling fans that he joined this community of on Facebook, and they saw that he was very skilled, and so they started ordering from him a lot of commissions, and then he just got better and better. So when he's not cutting puzzle pieces in our garage, he's now running our tasting room in downtown Santa Barbara.
Okay. So he's hand cutting these puzzles in your garage at home.
Yeah, yeah, on a scroll saw.
Oh,
It's a very old timey traditional process. That's how puzzles were initially cut. And it's a big pastime on the East Coast since they don't have as many sunny days as we do in California. And he found this unique skill set through a YouTube video during COVID. So I
wow.
was baking sourdough breads, and he was in the garage learning how to not cut his finger off and cut little pieces. But it's really cool. I think he said there's only 30 puzzle cutters, scroll saw puzzle cutters in the US, and there's like
Wow.
60 in the world.
That's amazing. So he's
Yeah.
found a real niche for himself. So we're going to get to this bubbles and puzzles. I like this a lot. And then in addition to, you can buy obviously your wines, LouBud Wines, on your website. You can also buy these puzzles on the website. And I'm just curious, does Paul get distribution then outside of your business?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's through his own accord, but for order placements, it's all channeled through LouBud website, just
Okay,
loubud.com.
that's very cool. So he started this hand cutting wooden puzzles during COVID. And now he's also, in addition to that, he's running your tasting room, right?
Correct. With our
Okay.
dog.
With your dog Taco. How's Taco doing these days?
He's good. He's good. I mean, he's fabulous. He's a golden retriever. He's our 6-year-old frisbee loving pup, and he gets to sling LouBud on the less busy days, Thursdays and Sundays. He's our little therapy dog, and we want him there because our goal is to make it a very comfortable, inviting space for all people who love wine, especially sparkling wine, puzzle enthusiasts, and really the whole family.
That's really cool. A family environment, nice community there. And, I was going to ask you, when did you start introducing, when did you get into merchandising at LouBud? So you got puzzles, you got t-shirts, you got baseball caps, and then you also have a champagne bottle squeaker dog toy, I think I saw online.
Yeah.
So when did you start expanding, that business model of yours beyond, bubbles?
Yeah, I started it once I built the club out. I started to build a community of people who enjoyed my wines, and so I wanted our brand ambassadors, to be out there and to be wearing LouBud merch. But the dog toy came about with the tasting room, and we really built out more of that for the tasting room. It's a modest amount, though. We're not quite a boutique shop of merch. But we like to get what we like to wear, or our dog has destroyed so many of those champagne dog toys because he can't until it's dead. Like he can't stop. But no, those are a hot seller for sure.
That's
And then the puzzles was 2023, so we've had about almost 3 years now of those commissions on the website. And then Paul is just constantly making a new puzzle for the experience of that pairing of bubbles and puzzles while guests are tasting through the wines. They can do one of his hot off the scroll saw puzzles that are about a 5x7. So it takes you about an hour and a half to complete. And for those that are coming in tasting the wines, they can take home a puzzle. And so yeah, it's kind of a
that's
neat
cool. So they're
experience.
tasting they're tasting your wines. They could do these puzzles, and then like how many pieces are in these puzzles? So I'm assuming there's different sets
Yeah,
available.
we have little ones which are called our tin puzzles that are great for taking back on an airplane, 25 pieces. And
Okay.
then I'd say the 5x7s are 100 pieces, 70 to 100 pieces. And then
Okay.
they're typical puzzle sizes, the pieces. It's hard to explain. I'm not the puzzler. Um, or the puzzle maker. I do like to do the puzzles. But yeah, I think we have like three different kind of easy, medium, hard.
Okay. Okay. And are they different like these puzzles? I mean, what's the background? Is it LouBud Wines?
Oh, the
What's
images?
yeah, the images, yeah.
Great question. So we really leaned into a really jazzy vibe. My husband and I both love jazz music and played in jazz bands in high school. I played alto
Okay.
sax, he played trumpet. So we have Dixieland going on the record player. And these images are a lot of like old New York Times magazines images.
Oh, okay.
And then anything that catches his eye that he gets from public domain, there's a lot of images that you cannot print. So anything that you can print.
Okay. Very
That's,
cool.
yeah.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about this tasting room. Where is it in downtown Santa Barbara? And how can somebody come and see you? What are trading hours? Tell me about this tasting room. When did you open doors? And how could somebody come visit you guys?
Yeah, we're really easily accessible um, downtown Santa Barbara, right off of the main drag, State Street, which is closed off to cars. So you can walk up and down State Street going shopping. Our streets are State Street, De La Guerra, and Anacapa. And we're inside of a courtyard of the historic El Paseo neighborhood. So the most historic location within Santa Barbara. And what's neat about our location is that we have really thick adobe walls, and it's part of the original Casa de la Guerra that was built in the early 1800s. So there's no need really for AC. It's a very modest space. It's very cozy. It's a Mediterranean location. We have citrus trees outside. Inside, there's white adobe walls, red tile floors, big green windows that open out to our courtyard. And then we also have a little private cobblestone patio with bistro seating where guests can take in the Santa Barbara sunshine all year round. But we're open Thursday through Sunday, 12 to 6. And in the near future, we'll open on Mondays, the same time frame.
Okay. And so Mondays soon. Yeah.
Mondays soon. Yeah, right now we have it open for appointment. And we do encourage appointments because we have such a modest space. We can only seat about 30 to 50 people, really 30,
Well, it's
15
still a
inside.
lot.
Yeah,
Cozy.
it's cozy, but it's really lovely. With the windows open, the doors wide open, and the music going on the record player. It's a really nice vibe.
And was that then like your next step? So you launched Lou. Remind me, when did you launch LouBud Wines?
In 2015, and that was just with 1 ton of Pinot Noir, half of it going towards a Blanc de Noir, which was my end goal or main goal was to make a very serious champagne method, traditional method, sparkling, and then the other half of that ton went towards a still rosé of Pinot. So I've always had those two wines as the heart of my program, and every year just sold out and purchased a little bit more fruit. So in 2016, I was able to buy 2 tons and then 4 tons, and around our biggest tonnage so far was in 2023. I think we brought in about 11 tons. And so
Okay.
our wheelhouse is about 10 tons right now.
10 tons. How many cases that does that translate into?
600.
600 cases. And then, so this was just like then a natural evolution for you to open a tasting room to showcase your wines. Santa Barbara, working with the city, was it challenging, difficult to find the ideal location for this tasting room? How long does that process did that process take?
Finding the location was really fast. We have dear friends who were also searching for a place for their tasting room, and they found our place for us and decided to settle in Solvang. This is my friends Anna and Pete who own Final Girl Wines. They found it and they're like, "We think it'll be perfect for you." So we went and looked at it. Paul and I had been talking about it, but not like researching it for years and years. It was just kind of like, that's the next step, of course. We have the inventory, we have diverse products, we want it to be together. And boom, we signed the lease, and I think that we got the keys a couple months later. There was a tenant in the space already. So we knew in August we would get the keys, and so I started the whole license application because you have to get a second bonded location to sell the wines, or another, sorry, O2 permit with the ABC.
Okay.
That process took a while. And at that point, because we were in a historic building, we had a couple other um, overseeing groups that we had to discuss our patio furniture with, and how we would set out how we would define our courtyard, because there's a hedge, but there's a little bit of an open spot that the ABC wanted defined as
Okay.
yeah, there was a bit of trickiness, and so the back and forth took a long time. I was due any day, so this is it's from August to November. Very,
What
very
ye-
stressful time.
what year?
This is 2024.
2024. And when did you open doors? What was your first what when did you open doors?
December 14th, 2024. We got our alcohol license the day before, Friday the 13th. It was very
Okay.
scary, very scary time, but very exciting.
Very
And
very
we've been,
rewarding as well.
yeah, yeah. And I had my son November 4th, so it was 1 month after he was born, and there was this joke of like, what's coming first, the alcohol permit or the baby?
It's a bit stressful.
A bit stressful,
A
but
bit.
family was all behind us, friends, and it just all felt so right. We had a huge grand opening party a few weeks later between Christmas and New Year's with our friends and family, and we had a live Dixie band. We had, of course, a pink ribbon cutting, and so we just opened a ton of bottles and we shared them, and so we've kept this whimsical, bubbly, jazzy vibe going ever since.
And that jazzy vibe is also represented or reflected in the puzzles that Paul's making. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking. I'm back out in August, and I'm thinking I'll come up with. I think I'll come up with my daughter Amelia for a couple of days. We got family in Santa Barbara, and I just got to then make sure that when I visit them, Ann and Cliff, it's got to be Thursday through Sunday, so I
Yeah,
can so I can check this out for myself. Very, very
that would be
cool.
great.
All
It's,
right.
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, sounds like a lot of fun. So you're also the associate winemaker at Sanford. What is it now? 12, 14 years, something like that?
Yeah, going on 14.
Yeah.
This August will be 14 years, and I've grown up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No,
like the
it's
University of Sanford.
no, it's a magical spot. I love visiting you guys. So, how do you find time? Associate winemaker at Sanford, obviously. I think a lot of winemakers, well, I don't know about a lot, but they use facilities where they're working to like launch their own brands. So how do you find time to make your LouBud wines? How does that work out for you? I'm sure time management's, you got to be super skillful at that. How does that work out?
Yeah, always communicative, always above and beyond scheduling everything out as much as I can, and then working backwards from bottling dates to where do the wines need to be at a certain point, coming up with the blends many months ahead of time, tasting before work, after work, pulling samples, and doing fining trials. All of that comes into play. Harvest time is actually less impacted than you'd probably think because I'm doing 80% of my production is sparkling, and all of that is harvested between um, maybe as early as middle of August to early September, and then the rosé and the Sauvignon Blanc comes in after that. And maybe there's a little overlap, but being always available during harvest, there's no
Okay.
such thing as like free time. So I'm in and out both doors. But really focused on Sanford once September rolls around and Pinot Noir and Chardonnay is just coming in. I operate LouBud out of Buellton with another female winemaker. It's a shared space, and she has a team that can assist me in my absence. But I'm always there for fruit receival and pressing, the big decision making, tasting, blending, and but they can help me if I need to pull certain samples at a certain time, and then I go after work. But Sanford, outside of harvest and bottling, is Monday through Thursday, and we're there 7 to 5:30. So I love to get home as soon as I can, so I can have dinner with my family, since I live about 45 minutes from the vineyards. And Friday through Sunday is LouBud and Elliot, my son.
Yeah.
And then bouncing over to the tasting room when I know special guests are coming. But for the most part, it's Paul holding down the fort, and we have a dear friend, Gracie, who's been helping us out with marketing. So I'm trying to uh, delegate better.
Yeah. I like that. Friday through Sunday, LouBud days. That's cool. I mean, it sounds like you've created something really special there at that tasting room, and everything, your vision there is coming together. So, looking back at 2025, how would you sum up the harvest or, that year for your sparkling wines?
2025, summing up the business in total was very encouraging. And I only say this because now that we're at year end, this was a big year, a big change for us, and there's a lot of doom and gloom that you hear about on the news for the wine industry, and we've always kept it very modest, our production size, and we've built it organically. So now having this new outlet to share our wines with the community, we've been able to grow our club um, very successfully, and we hope to continue to ride that wave. The harvest for 2025, I kept a little bit leaner because I just wasn't sure about what our sales would look like, since I don't do a lot of distribution. We're all self distributed, self owned. It's just me and my husband. We make and sell every single thing. We don't have any other ambassadors aside from those that love us. um, and so, yeah, encouraging.
Okay, encouraging. I like that word. You sum up 2025, encouraging. So then, like, your wine club, DTC business? Is that like 95% in terms of distribution you sell locally? How many listings or restaurants carry your wines?
I would say throughout a year, we'll have 10 really solid placements.
Okay.
Most of those are not by the glass. They are taking about a case here and there because they've really enjoyed specific bottlings of ours. I think of a Los Olivos wine merchant, Los Olivos Wine Cafe, that always loves our Blanc de Blanc. And it's always on the shelf. And that's really special because if guests are just coming in their wine tasting in the valley, they know where to go and pick up. But if they are coming up and they're big foodies, they can go to a specific pizzeria, which has always had our rosé by the glass, and that's really special. That's Bettina. That's one of our favorite places to go on date night. And so, volume wise, I would say about 15%, maybe 10
Okay.
is wholesale.
Yeah. Okay. And you're roughly at about 600 cases a year. You're growing organically. Are there plans to scale that? Can you or you don't want to? Or you like, is this like you're in a good spot with these 600 cases?
I'm in a good spot. If we run out of wine, which I don't think we will for the next 2 years, we can always find another still wine, or it allows me to then branch out and make another wine that's not already in bottle because my sparkling wines are made 2 to 3 years before they're sold. So I'm trying to preempt where we'll be at in the future, but I don't want to go too far. If I have to, I'll just make sparkling a little bit less of the production. It's hard to say. I think once I have one more year under my belt for having the tasting room, then I'll understand what
Okay.
the growth
But
looks
you
like.
did 2025 then. You're
Mm-hmm.
celebrating 10-year anniversary
Mm-hmm.
with LouBud. That's really cool. Did you do anything special for I mean, you opened the tasting room, but for like your 10-year anniversary, anything special for like club members or anything like that?
Yeah. Oh, we always do live music. We were popping, sabering, of course. Lots of sabering, which I love to do at any celebratory moment. And I love sharing that skill set, that experience with a club member that's never done it before. So anytime we have a party, definitely expect a really shiny knife to be there, and we'll be popping off the corks, and we'll have live music. So the 10th anniversary, we did live music. We did a brunch fair. It was earlier in the day, and then we kept the party going with the rest of just the public being open. Saturdays are our biggest day, and so in order to also let our club members enjoy the space without the riffraff or all of the out of towners, we try and tack on a little bit more hours. So we'll open a little earlier, or we'll stay open a little later and do a soiree. And for our pickup parties that we have coming up, one of them will be more of that soiree in the springtime, and then once it gets to fall, when we do our fall shipment, we'll do more of a brunch fair earlier in the day when we have less days, less sunlight during the day.
Okay. So it sounds to me then you're encouraging people to book when they come to your tasting room in advance. And it sounds like you have a really strong and loyal following there. You have a strong base of LouBud fans.
Yeah, we do. We really do. I think I drive up and down Santa Barbara County going out to the vineyards, so I spend probably 50% of my time in the vineyards, in deep ingrained with other vintners. I'm the president on the Santa Rita Hills Wine Alliance, and this is my 4th year in that role. And so that's allowed me to be getting to know all these other winemakers, either in a similar position as me, working for a really important property, vineyard owners, and representing vineyards, but then also as a smaller producer. And yeah, so that's how we've grown up until now, just doing events and participating in our local organizations.
Okay, very, very cool. So tell me, how many wines are you making right now?
We are making 6 wines,
Okay,
four four sparklings, one rosé of Pinot Noir, and one Sauvignon Blanc from Happy Canyon.
one rosé and one Sauvignon Blanc. Okay, from Happy Canyon. And the Sauvignon Blanc, is it fairly new to the range?
Yeah, it's new. My first vintage was 2024, and I was so excited to be a part of that vintage because the yields were lower that year in general across the board. And with Sauvignon Blanc, it is a very high yielding variety. And when you get really high yields, it's really hard to make a pick decision because Sauvignon Blanc, when you look at the cluster, it's nice and golden on the outside, on the inside, it's still dark and green. And it's hard to know what that flavor is going to develop into once it starts fermenting. But 2024 had this perfect yield, and I could go through and I was, oh, this fruit is so good. It's so tropical. It's so guava. And I got to work with some of the oldest vines of Sauvignon Blanc at Vogelzang Vineyard. I think they were planted in the 80s. And I made 2 tons, which was more than you would normally make as a small producer for the first time sourcing from a new vineyard. But I went all in, and then I think we're down to our last few cases on that. 2025, I signed up like before we even put 24 into bottle, and so I'm excited to get that into bottle in 2 weeks. It's in tank. We just blended it, so it's an
Fantastic.
exciting. Yeah,
No, exciting. And then how do you go about identifying this vineyard in Happy Canyon? How did that come about? Is it just through networking through these different, alliances that you work with, or just word of mouth, or just friends? How do you identify a site like that?
I was fortunate to have worked with Vogelzang at Sanford when I had started. We'd worked with a couple different vineyards, and I loved making the Sauv Blanc. But now that we're more focused on our estate and what we can make really well from the property, we don't make a Sauvignon Blanc anymore.
Right.
And so I had experience doing a barrel fermented, neutral barrel fermentation on Sauvignon Blanc, and so I already had that idea. And it was like, oh well, I am a white winemaker. I'm a sparkling winemaker, but I'm also a very skilled white winemaker because that's what you're making when you start sparkling as a base wine is a very delicious white wine. And with my Chardonnay background too, it's it's a little bit different. So I know Sauvignon Blanc doesn't go through malolactic fermentation, or at least my preferred style doesn't. And so I just already kind of had this vision, and I was nervous as all get out though, because it wasn't sparkling, and everyone kept asking, "Are you doing a sparkling with the Sauvignon Blanc?" I'm like, "No, that would taste horrible. No."
That's
But we
cool.
wanted
So
something approachable.
it sounds like you smashed it, though. It sounds like you got this right, this 2024 vintage.
Yeah, and we maybe sold 10 cases wholesale. We bottled 150 cases, and the rest of it was through the club and the tasting room, and so that's really cool.
All right. And is this Sauvignon Blanc of yours stainless steel fermentation or barrel fermentation?
All barrel. I
Oh,
settle in stainless steel just to rack off the heavier lees, and then go straight to neutral French oak barrels, barrel fermentation. And once that's complete, I'm and the residual sugar is it's dry once it's finished with fermentation. Um, I will add sulfur so it doesn't go through malolactic fermentation. And then in the winter time, I'm tasting each of these barrels. There was only 5, but still I'm thinking of them as individual vessels. They're a component to the blend. Do they need a little bit of batonnage? So stirring up the yeast lees, getting a little bit more texture from it. And I think I stirred all of them once, and then a couple others just a little bit more. Um, Sauvignon Blanc has a sulfur compound to it, so it can go all sorts of directions aromatically. And I kept saying, "Oh God, I don't want it to turn into cat pee." I hate cat pee Sauvignon Blanc
same
or
here.
box tree. Yeah, and it wasn't at all. And it's got a lot of freshness minerality that that I really like, and it's a very similar pH to my rosé, which is less than 3.3, which is where I think is kind of like that safe place for white wines, um, where it's not too acidic, it's not under acidic. I don't know. But yeah, so it's like 3.2, 3.25. And the TA is about 7.5. And yeah, it's my go-to when people come in. So it's the first wine on our flight, and then we dive into the sparklings.
Sounds delicious on its own. What would you enjoy that with? What type of food would you have
Oh,
with your Sauvignon Blanc?
oh, take me to a Thai restaurant, please.
Okay.
Anything, yeah. Curry, some spring rolls, yeah, spicy Asian food.
All right. Sounds amazing. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at your 2022 Blanc de Blanc sparkling wine. I've had this before. How would you describe your Blanc de Blanc? And again, what would you serve it with friends over dinner?
So I'll have to start since my husband will be your host at the tasting room. He would describe it as a delicious caramel Granny Smith apple. And I'm like, oh, that sounds so good. I grew up really close to Apple Hill, and that was kind of our treat as a kid is a really fresh caramel apple. It's not as sweet as that caramel, but the essence of caramel. So he's not wrong, but I think it's a little more layered and it's very sophisticated. It's floral, creamy on the nose. It's got vibrant key lime, toasted almonds on the palate. This is 100% Chardonnay, Fuente selection from the historic Sanford and Benedict Vineyard. So my heart goes into this. It came full circle for me to be able to put Sanford and Benedict on my own label, working out there day in and day out. Michael Benedict, one of the founders, was a dear friend, and yeah, I still hear him in my head. Before I even started LouBud, he said we both shared a passion for sparkling, and he said, "Mark my words, the Santa Rita Hills is known for still Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, but one day it will also be known for sparkling. There's so much there for sparkling, and so started LouBud in 15, but I didn't get to purchase fruit from Sanford and Benedict until 2019 because I didn't have enough money to go as far as I wanted it to. But I also wanted to play it safe and prove that I was a skilled sparkling producer before approaching the Terlato family and asking if I could purchase a little bit of the Chardonnay. So this is Chardonnay planted just under that historic barn with a beautiful yellow lichen. When you go to the Sanford website, it's the first thing you see.
It's amazing.
You all see my vines that I've worked with since 2019, and it's a unique selection for a sparkling winemaker to work with. Fuente has hens and chicks, so it's got big berries, tiny berries. It can tend to be a little bit more textural as a Chardonnay selection for a still Chardonnay maker. And for me, I'm picking it earlier and I'm doing such a delicate pressing on it. The components that I'm getting is so much concentration. We have just perfect yield. So I think it's like 3 tons to the acre out there. And they're planted on the best soil in the whole wide world for Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. It's very, very deep, organic soil, very rocky, great drainage, and it's just a majestic setting. It just puts you in this tranquil space, just being out there with all of the oak trees. Going back to the wine, though, once the fruit is harvested, it's all harvested at night, comes into the cellar. I delicately dump it into the press, and it's a very long cycle. So a delicate pressing that Chardonnay. I separate out the harder press that does not go into this blend. Um, what I do keep is just the beautiful juice that's inside of that berry. That is then settled in tank and ferments in neutral French oak. And I do all that same process for all of my sparkling wine. That hard press does not go into my main cuvee.
Okay.
I want it to go through malolactic fermentation. The 22 vintage just was a little bit fickle, so there's a little bit of malic that you're tasting when you open a bottle, and I think that provides the freshness there. But a bit of it is softened. Because when you're harvesting for sparkling in the San Rita Hills, the malics are like 4 to 5 grams per liter. When you're harvesting still Chardonnay, it's more like 3 grams per liter. So you kind of need to decrease it slightly. Um, once once it's really integrated and becoming a really beautiful wine of its own, I'm then going to blend it together into tank in the springtime. So after about 6 to 8 months in the barrel, it's blended together, and then that's when I start the tirage bottling for all of my sparklings. And the 22 vintage of the Blanc de Blanc aged in bottle for 27 months on cask.
27 months. So
Yeah,
8 months in the barrel or on its lees. And then repeat that, how many additional months in bottle?
27.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so 2 years and a few months. And I knew it was a beautiful wine, a really beautiful cuvee. So I held back half of it, which is still aging in our cellar. And that's on Crown Cap still. We won't release that as a reserve for another few years. Our
Wow.
next reserve of Blanc de Blanc will be the 21 vintage, and that will be next year. So that won't be disgorged until what year is it? 20, so we'll disgorge the 21 Blanc de Blanc reserve in 27. We'll do the 22 Blanc de Blanc reserve in 28. That's if I don't run out of wine and need to release something a little bit earlier. But I'm like a little squirrel. I know that when guests come in and taste our wine and they take it home, it's really hard to sit on it. Any wine is. It's like for me with a new pair of pants. I cannot not wear them to work the next day and then get them dirty. So I do that some of that saving for our guests and for myself to learn from. I haven't released anything past a 36 entourage
Amazing.
timeline. Yeah, so I want to get to 4 years and then 6 years.
And these Blanc de Blancs, I mean, obviously tasty on its own, but what are you pairing this with? Like, say somebody comes over, you're having dinner. Ideally, I mean, you can drink champagne for any occasion. What are you cooking with this Blanc de Blanc?
Yeah. I'm kind of a no fuss chef or host. I really like to have something easy if friends are coming over. But this is the wine that I want at the beginning of a dinner. So served with appetizers. Um, I love just a beautiful spread of cheese and charcuterie, but a natural pairing is that triple cream brie with a Marcona almond and maybe some dried fruit as well. If I'm doing it as the main, then I'd love like a little adult mac and cheese, as my husband calls it,
Oh, nice.
cacio pepe with grilled chicken, roasted veggies, and then yeah, you can have it all day. Honestly, that's we make brunch wine, so fried chicken and waffles is so good. Anything with eggs, omelets, quiches, you can't go wrong. That's
Uh,
what's great about sparkling. But it's one of our high end wines, and so I think it deserves something really delicious.
yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm getting hungry. Your morning, my evening, and I'm getting really hungry right now. That sounds amazing. That sounds awesome. All right, very cool. So for our listeners heading to Santa Barbara, how does one buy your wines?
Absolutely. So we direct people to our website, loubud.com, which is spelled LOUBUD, one word. It's my nickname. And so go to our website, and that's where you can make your reservation to come visit us and also purchase our wine or our puzzles. We distribute throughout the US. If you enjoy it, we really welcome you to check out our wine club. We only do 2 shipments per year, and we have a 3-pack, 6-pack, 12-pack club, starting with our taste buds. Then we have our close buds, and then our best buds. They get the best discount, and they get a case in the spring, a case in the fall, which is really only 2 bottles a month. which is really not a lot.
That's
So
manageable. Yeah.
it's manageable. And we really encourage people to open up the bottle when they want to have a great glass of wine, even if they're by themselves or just with their partner. Every day should be cherished. And that's why we opened up our space. We wanted people who are seeking that respite to just enjoy the everyday aspects of life and to relax and get off their phone.
Yeah, get off your phone, and a great place to do it in Santa Barbara. I tell you, my brother-in-law Cliff's going to love this place. So I will be out there in August. Can you do me a favor? Can you give a shout out to a couple of your favorite places to eat in Santa
Yeah,
Barbara?
I have to say Santa Barbara County in general because I'm up and down
Sure.
along 101 along the ocean. So down near us in Santa Barbara, Bettina Pizzeria is one of our favorite date night places. And like I mentioned earlier, they have our rosé by the glass. It's just a natural um, with their sourdough pizzas, all made by the owner and the chef Brendan and Rachel, his wife. And they expanded another place called Tina's Pizza, which is down in Carpinteria.
Okay. A lot of pizza. Love it. Okay.
Lot of pizza. Okay, so if we're going up to San Ynez Valley, you have to stop in at Peasant's Feast in Solvang. Since day one, they've had our wine on the list, but they have a fried chicken sando, again, owned by the chef and his wife, and then they have a deli right next to it. So we love supporting small local places that emulate what we're doing, but we're not chefs. And
But
then
what,
if
sorry, in Solvang, what's the name of that restaurant? Repeat that name.
Peasant's Feast,
Peasants Feast?
with a P, the peasant.
The Peasants.
Yeah,
Okay. Got it.
Peasant's Feast or PF.
Yeah, got it. All right. Love it. Okay. And you got another one for me?
Yeah, I mean, this is the locals' favorite in Buellton, Industrial Eats.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
bring in your own wine, which is really cool. So if you're up there and if you're coming out to Sanford, we say, hey, grab food, bring it over here, and then if you're out that way and you're working early, I say grab a breakfast burrito from Floriano's in Lompoc.
Wow. Amazing. Some great recommendations there, Laura. Well, listen, I want to thank you for being on the road with me this week. Before you go, I'm going to ask you four questions. I call this the bin and Q&A. You're an old pro at this now that you've been on three times. So just give me the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Ready to go. Okay. Right off the bat, if you weren't making wine today, if you weren't a winemaker, what do you see yourself doing? What would you see yourself doing?
Oh, wow. Uh, I wasn't a winemaker. This is really boring, but I might have been an accountant.
An accountant.
I
Okay. Okay.
bookkeeping is my other aspect to the business. I
Yeah.
do all of it, and I get a little help from a CPA here and there. But when I was a kid, I probably would have saw myself as a real estate agent. I
Okay.
love I love dreaming, and every time I would go into a house with my parents, they were always looking as their family was growing. What I don't know, just dreaming about different ways of living. And so now that I'm in Santa Barbara, I'd be like, man, I wish I could go inside that house.
Very cool. I like that. If you weren't, you're sourcing fruit from around Santa Barbara wine country. You're making wine at Sanford. If you could pick any other place to make wine in California, where would that be?
Does it have to be in California?
Okay, no, it doesn't have to be in California. Where else would you want to make wine?
I mean, Tasmania calls to me. I did an internship down there and I
Okay.
love the people. And then also Champagne.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
yeah, I could see myself going up to Oregon in a in another life, I guess, but we're so settled here and we love being a part of this community that at this point, so we're thinking about doing a trip for our wine club in to Champagne and maybe in
Oh,
the
cool.
future trip to Tasmania. Not until 2028, but that really like keeps me going when I'm bored and doing bookkeeping.
Fantastic. That's
Yeah,
great. And I should say, I guess I wanted to say this earlier. We should give a shout out to the Terlatos because I mean they've been very supportive as well, right?
I know they really have, and I'm so thankful that they invested in me when I was 23 and hired me as their harvest enologist for Sanford, and have just really, yeah, just built me into the team. And so 14 years with Sanford, entrusting those beautiful vineyards with me. And we have such a small team. They've only ever had 3 winemakers at the property of Sanford, which is pretty incredible. And I'm not the head winemaker, but I'm not far behind it. And, I think they've still allowed me to do LouBud. I wouldn't have been able to do both.
Yeah.
It's just that would have been impossible. And so this has just given me my creativity outlet.
Well, I think it's safe to say they I think they encourage or support your entrepreneurial spirit there, and you work closely with Trey. Trey's a great guy, so yeah, you like you said, I think you've got a good team working with, but also very good, strong support group as
Yeah,
well.
we love hosting our Burgundy friends. That is really fun.
Yeah,
John Chelato loves going to Burgundy and bringing us some friends back, and so that open door, it just makes the world so much smaller. And then when you visit us and tell us where our wines are going, it's like it's so cool. It's
yeah,
it's a world I'm really excited to be a part of.
a lot of fun. Okay, two more to go, and then you're going to enjoy your family and your Sunday. Living or dead, if you can invite any person or celebrity to share a bottle of your 2022 LouBud Blanc to Blanc with, who would that be?
Okay, Stephen Colbert.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, I love watching his show, and I'm so sad it's going off the air.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, I just want to relax and open a nice bottle of wine and be silly and just enjoy it. And so laughter is the best medicine. If it wasn't him, maybe Conan O'Brien. Like
He's
we
good.
we dig deep in those YouTube videos sometimes when he's like learning how to drink Guinness, and it's like,
Yeah.
can you come to LouBud? I'd love to have that.
Oh, that would be huge. That would be. I listened. I listened to his podcast. What's it called? Who like something like.
Conan, something about making friends.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But he's very witty, and I enjoy his podcast. Last one. Money no object. Which bottle of California wine would you open with dinner tonight? Can't be one of yours.
Okay, I'm gonna say in June once the baby's born.
Yeah.
But money no object. I want there to be a 20-plus-year-old entourage sparkling from Schramsberg, the J Schram, the top blend. It's like
Okay.
primarily Pinot, Chardonnay, so it's similar to like our Brut Cuvée. I want to learn from that, and if I can manifest this post labor, that's what I want.
All right, and that's the goal in June. Fantastic. Well, listen, Laura, always a treat to see you. Thanks again for coming on the road with me, and yeah, look forward to seeing you next time I'm out in California. Definitely to meet your husband at that tasting room of yours. Very cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, August I'll have a little baby in my hands, so I will. I'll happily host you and pop over there too.
We'll see you then. Thanks again, Laura.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chuck.